Hello everybody, welcome to another video. My name is Infiniti and today I am going to show you guys how to knit a double brim on the Sentro knitting machine. Today I'm here with the Sentro 32 needle knitting machine, and here I have a sample of a project I was working on where I used this method. Now I've done a tutorial on this in the past and it involves sewing, but this method involves no sewing and it should be relatively easy. There were some things that I noticed about this process though that you'll want to definitely know, and I'll touch on in the tutorial, but I will also have a blog post listed in the description box and the top comment down below, so that just to make sure that I'm covering all of my bases. But this is what the seaming looks like on the inside, and like I said, it's pretty much invisible on the outside. You can kind of see where the fabric changes consistency here, but with a little bit of blocking and whatnots, it should pan out pretty good. So without further ado, let's jump into this tutorial. So to begin with this method, what we're going to do is we're just going to do a regular cast on, no slip knots or anything like that. You can have a long tail for sewing later, but it doesn't have to be as long as I have directed in the past, which is like 2 feet for sewing. So I'm just going to drop a regular amount of tail down in there, and we are going to cast on. If you are new to this machine, I have an entire playlist for the Sentro knitting machine and how to get started on it on my channel, so I will leave that linked at the end of this video. But if you are trying to cast on, what you want to do is put the yarn to the right of your white indicator needle, and you're going to make sure that the yarn has come under that hook. And you are going to alternate wrapping the yarn around the back and the front all the way around. This is probably the slowest process of the whole project. Okay, so the first thing that I noticed with casting on and doing this process is that you want to make sure that this initial cast on row is relatively loose, like not hanging off the machine loose, but don't have a death grip on it, because that's going to be so important later. And as we begin to crank our project, you're going to want to make sure that you are using this largest hole on the tension guide to make your project in these first several rows. This machine does not come with a stitch counter by default, and I typically don't install them on my machine. So I have a tape measure here, and for this machine I liked the 6 inches of fabric to make up my brim, so I'm going to crank that out now. Alright, now that I have the length of fabric that I want, which I did my measurements on the other one, and it was actually 8 inches of fabric, so my bad. Once I get the actual length of the fabric that I want to make sure that I am, first of all, stopping when this white peg is up, because you're going to want to match your stitches to the pegs that come up. So I have found my cast on stitch here, and I see, when I flip it up, I see that there are 2 loops. There's a front loop and then there's a back loop. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that back loop and I'm just going to slip it over that white needle. Okay, you don't want to add both of those loops on there, because when you go to do your row that will seam this together, it's going to make your gears grind in your machine, and over time that will wear your machine out. Alright, I did that second one so I can crank a little bit. And mind you, I am leaving my yarn threaded through the machine so that it will actually knit these stitches into itself. So again, looking at these stitches, there's a front and a back loop. We're going to take that back loop and slip it over the needle as it comes up. And this is why that loose tension was important at the beginning, because I remember when I did my first experiment on this, it was too tight towards the last several stitches, and I had to frog that. And it was not a fun process. And like I said, it also made the gears grind in my machine. I was like, oh no, red flag. But okay, just slowly take these loops and put them over the pins. Make sure the hooks are catching them. And that's all you really have to do. And honestly, if it helps, you can get a loom pick for this process so that you can see better. Which I think I'll do for the sake of this video, because you can't see it through my hands. And this is probably the longest part of the whole process, is just taking your time and putting these loops on each individual peg. There we go. Make sure that's down in there. Almost at the end here. Got one more little 1 or 2 stitches to go. And the last couple of stitches can be a little tight, but it shouldn't be like a chokehold kind of tightness. And we're just gonna slip that last loop over that last stitch. Alright, and now in my maker notes on my blog, I mentioned that this next row is really important because we just essentially doubled up all of our loops around the machine. So you want to crank this row very slowly to make sure that all of your loops are going down around those bottom 2 pegs, and making sure that none of your stitches are being dropped off here. So I'm just going to go very slowly around the machine. I will also leave the video for the other method that involves sewing linked at the end of this video. I don't think either one is really better. It just depends on the general aesthetic that you're looking for. So if you like the sewn stitches on the outside of the hat, then that's great. Or if you want it to be more invisible, then this is the method that you'd want to use. But once you crank that first row and all of your stitches are in place, you know, you can put a little pressure on them, you're good to go. So this is the thickness of the fabric after you have doubled it up. And from here you can just continue to crank your project. You don't want to clip off this string though, too bad. You still want to be able to weave that in later. But you can just crank around the machine like normal. And actually, at this point, if you wanted to, you could change your tension of your yarn to a different hole if you needed to. I'm not. I remember specifically cranking that piece of fabric out with the loosest tension possible, because this is a 4-weight yarn that I'm using in this machine. But I'm going to continue to crank and crank until I have determined that my project is finished. And then I can cast off. Alright, one more valuable little glimpse of information from this video. This is what the inside of the fabric will look like as you continue to crank, which is slightly neater, I guess, than the sewn version. And like I said, this right here looks like this. It leaves this line here on your finished piece of fabric, which is, like I said, isn't necessarily a deal breaker. You can always block that out. But that's just the change in consistency from that double layering to the single layering. This method is good for sock cuffs. It's also good for hat brims, leggings, sweater cuffs. Some people make sweaters on the Sentro. So it's very versatile and it's pretty simple to do. It's just you have to make sure that you're doing certain things so you don't grind up the gears in your machine. I am using this for a larger project, as you guys saw towards the beginning of the video. So I will not be casting off in this video. If you are new to this machine, I have an entire playlist on tutorials on how to get started on the Sentro knitting machine, how to cast off, and how to go about doing certain projects on it back on my channel. So if you haven't yet, please do subscribe, and if you enjoyed this video, leave it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below with your questions. I'll be more than happy to answer them. Like I said, I will leave the blog post for this process linked in the description box and the top comment below so that you can find it easily. You can check me out on Instagram because I will be teasing this project as the months go by. I don't plan on releasing it for some months, but I am excited to share nonetheless. Don't forget to head over to my website. Like I said, sign up for the newsletter so you get notified when blog posts go live, and so you don't miss out on future helpful maker notes and Sentro knitting machine tutorial content. That was a mouthful. Anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling. I hope you guys enjoyed this first tutorial back, and until next time, happy making.